Hello, everybody, and welcome back to ArsenGirl Gaming. My name is Heather, and I thank you for joining me for another Sims 4 speed build. Yes, now this one is one that is really special to me. I saw my friend Flubs79 post this picture on Twitter. And I instantly fell in love with the house, and I was like, oh my gosh, I love that. I need to figure out how to make that for myself. And of course, I didn't want to do an exact replica, but I wanted a house that had kind of a similar feel. And I said to Flubs, I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to try to rebuild that house and give it my own kind of take on it. And so then 6 hours later, I had built this house, and thankfully I recorded it because I thought if it turned out decent, maybe I would share it with you guys. So that's what I'm doing. I'm sharing with you the speed build. It is a long one. I have edited it down as much as I could. I've taken out a lot of what wasn't really important to the build and try to shorten it down as long as or as short as I could. And this is what I ended up with. It's still a solid 28 and a half minutes, and I apologize to you guys for that because I know you'll probably only watch 2 or 3 minutes of it, but it was, oh my gosh, this was such a fun build. First of all, I always love trying to recreate what other people have done without having any kind of floor plan or anything to follow. And then I also like the ability of trying to customize it to fit my aesthetic, fit what I'm into. But I really wanted to go with that same kind of feel. I wanted the same kind of land layout that Flubs had done. And Flubs is such an amazing builder. Does a lot of room builds and clutters them up just Flubs is amazing with clutter. That's all I've got to say. My clutter game is nothing compared to Flubs. Flubs is like goals. So anyway, I'm glad that Flubs didn't mind me trying to recreate it. And I really am happy with the way this house came out. I actually made a little family to live in it and had some fun kind of exploring the house and living in it as my Sims. The yard, especially, was really a fun thing because I was kind of okay. So I grew up in Ohio and I lived in the suburbs, I lived in the city. So I didn't really live in farmland, but there was farmland all around us. And actually, by the time I moved out of Ohio, the most recent time, I lived kind of on the outskirts of the suburbs. So if you just go past my house a little bit, then you are out into the farmland. That being said, the build of this house is kind of in my mind based on houses that were not too far from my house, houses I grew up around, houses I saw from a distance because I didn't really know anybody that had farmhouses. But basically, they had so much land that the houses encompass pretty much so many aspects of their lives. They've got their career because they're farmers, but then they have recreation, aka the pool, swing sets. We did a lot of playing things like horseshoes or cornhole. And don't you wish we had cornhole in this game? I really wish we had cornhole in this game. But anyway, I digress. So I grew up with this, and I grew up seeing, all these houses, and you can see their pools, and they have horses, and they have cows sometimes, and chickens, and we don't have any of that in the game. So I kind of just went with more of a farmhouse on the outskirts of the suburbs where a little bit of farming is getting done, but it's not, their main income. I imagined that the mother living in this house was an avid gardener, so I do end up giving her a sunroom or a solarium where she could grow plants, and it just filled with it. I was thinking originally of doing kind of a fall themed build because we're heading into fall, and where I live fall doesn't really happen. And so I thought, oh, that might be a little bit of fun to do. But as I started building it, I started focusing more on like summertime things, aka the pool and laying out and being outside and just enjoying the nice hot weather and taking advantage of this great location where the people live in. So I spent a lot of time like trying to figure out how living would take place outside and how to most make it comfortable for the people that I imagine lived in the house. And then I was like trying to do this layout in the house, and I was like, ugh. I didn't really do very well with the downstairs because I wanted to have a first floor master. And in my head, this house was an old farmhouse. Like it had been out there, it had been through generations, had been remodeled, remodeled, remodeled. So I wanted to keep a little bit of the feel of like those kind of compartmentalized rooms that older houses have where they don't have the big open floor plan. And so you can see a lot of that in the upstairs because everything is definitely centered around that center hallway. And but downstairs, I'm like, I really want to have a garage. I want to have a nice kitchen. I want to have a nice living room. I need a den. I need a bedroom. And I'm like, how am I going to fit it into this space? Because the house would have to be a lot bigger than I made it to accomplish everything I really wanted it to do. But I ended up figuring out a way to kind of fit all of that in. I made it a 2-car garage. So I made that just a little bit bigger because I definitely like to clutter up the garages. I live in Florida now, so we don't have basements in Florida. So our garages kind of become our basement. And so clutter in the garage is now commonplace for me. So I wanted to make sure there was enough room for that. And I wanted to make sure that there were a lot of windows and I didn't want any rooms cutting off the windows and cutting off any of the light. But then I also needed to make sure it still had the feel like the old farmhouse style. And oh my gosh, I was like, what am I going to do? So the kitchen was the easy part because I knew I was going to cram it in this back little area, but I wanted it to encompass both a kitchen with, all the amenities that you would need, a sliding glass door into the solarium, and then I also wanted it to be somewhere where the family could gather and eat in front of that fireplace. So it had to satisfy that dining room requirement as well. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I've made it so small. I don't know how this is going to work. In the long run, it ended up working out just fine. I love having the kitchen tucked back in this little corner. I almost never do that. I used a lot of like hallways and things to kind of give you that feel of that closed off area. So you can see like the stairway kind of encompasses a hallway. Now, I did build this before we got the latest update that gave us the new stairs, or I might have done something a little bit more creative with the stairs. I was building this while waiting for Realm of Magic to come out and the free update. So there you have it. That's why the stairs are just the old boring type of stairs, which I will probably never use again as long as I play The Sims 4. And I was able to fit in a table and chairs. I put in the little bar, the little island area, so that more people could sit there. Because I do figure that this is one of those homes where multi generations are going to at least gather for holidays, things like that, right? So the parents have raised their kids here. The kids are going to go off, have their own families, do their own thing, and want to bring everybody home for Christmas, Thanksgiving. And so that was kind of my thought. Like, we're going to outgrow this space eventually. So I wanted to make sure there was enough room. I figure during the nice months, you're going to eat outside anyway, or at least have that opportunity. And then I started focusing on that configuration for this area. And I had great ideas. Like, I'm going to put the bedroom here. And then I was like, no, that's not going to work. It's going to take up too much room. And then I had a lot of walls going up, a lot of walls going down, a lot of walls going back up, a lot of walls going back down. And I just could not come up with a way to fit in a bedroom and a bathroom. And with the arches there, I was trying to figure out a way to fit in a formal dining room. Not happening in this house. It is too tight for everything that I wanted on this floor. But in the long run, it came out very nicely. So this is a finished product. I ended up with the bedroom, a small master bathroom, which I kind of envision as something they added on after the fact, because a lot of the houses in the time frame that I'm thinking of, this one being built, typically only had maybe one, sometimes two bathrooms for the whole house. And they almost never had them, as far as I know, on the first floor. They didn't have powder rooms, things like that. So I kind of, that was kind of like the backstory in my head, that I was like, I bet they added this bathroom on so that there was a bathroom on the first floor, and the bedroom they added on to work with that bathroom. I just, it's like one of those patchwork houses. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but if you ever watch like HGTV and you go in and you see that they're like, they go into these old houses and they can kind of see, this is probably what it looked like in 1945, and then this is what it looked like in 1965. And over the years, every generation has added something, changed something, added walls, removed walls, done something to kind of customize it to their lives. That's kind of in my head where I was taking this house the entire time I was building it. So I think it ended up very nicely. I'm really happy with it. The flow works. They can maneuver around. I ended up with a nice size study here for whoever needs to use it, whoever needs to do work from home. Because if it is a farmer or a botanist or somebody that just works from home, they've got a nice space to do that. And then I had enough room here in the family room to lay out a pretty substantial area to congregate and relax and discuss the day, watch some TV, do all that fun stuff. So, all in all, I was really happy with how it turned out, even though I spent so much time thinking about it. Like the whole time I was doing any building in this entire house, I was just like, how am I going to do this first floor to encompass everything I want it to encompass? And I'm glad I was able to kind of figure it out. I just like playing with a puzzle piece, I was just Tetrising it, trying to figure out what to make it work, because I didn't want to give up a first floor master, and that was really important to me. I didn't want to give up a family kitchen. That was really important to me, and this is how it panned out. And it actually came out super nice, I think. And then I gave them plenty of room. If they don't want to use that as a bedroom, they could turn it into anything. It could be a playroom, it could be a movie room, it could be whatever the Sims want. They could come in and tear down the walls and make an open concept family room if they want to. I am totally fine with that, but this is what they get for now, at least for now. And then, of course, I'm just doing the decorating touches here. And while all of that's playing out, let's just talk a little bit about this whole farmhouse vibe. So we just got the Realm of Magic game pack, and it features a new world called Glimmerbrook. And Glimmerbrook is this gorgeous, gorgeous, I want to say mountainous, but I don't know that it's really mountainous, but it's more like a very wooded, foresty type land. And it just screams for a farmhouse. I mean, it screams for farmhouses. It screams for log cabins. It screams for winter. And I was thinking that possibly I could grab this house, pick it up, and put it in Glimmerbrook and get rid of like maybe some of the outdoor stuff like the pool. I don't even know. Maybe I'll keep the pool. But it was just when I was building it, I had already seen a picture of the world, and I was like, or at least that tease of the world that we were shown by the developers. And I just knew that I wanted to put this house or whatever farmhouse I was to build in that world. So I haven't done that yet, but I am planning on doing that at some point. And I think this one will fit in there just perfectly because it just screams for that. Of course, Windenburg is very similar in certain places, or certain parts of Windenburg are very similar to Glimmerbrook in the fact that there's a lot of trees and there's a lot of greenery and there's a lot of like ponds and water features, things like that. So maybe that's why like I chose to go in here and do what Flubs had done and place this in Windenburg because it was the closest thing we had to what I had seen of Glimmerbrook at that point. So I was like, this could work. This could work. I love getting all these different style of worlds because when I build different things, like sometimes in my head, I'm like, okay, this belongs in Del Sol Valley, or this belongs in Newcrest, or let's go build something in the city because this definitely belongs in San Myshuno. So that is a real big part of every single build that I do is the location and thinking about how the build I'm building fits into that location. And I just love getting new worlds to build in. It just makes me so happy. I know I'm rambling at this point. We're only about halfway through the video. I think what I'm going to do though is I'm going to let you watch the rest of the speed build and then I'll be back toward the end and talk a little bit more in case you missed my voice. So enjoy. hope you enjoyed watching the rest of that build and enjoyed listening to those music choices from Epidemic Sound. I thought they were a lot of fun and they really fit the theme well. And now here we are with the screenshots and the finished product. And I hope you think it came out as cute as I think it came out. I really end up loving this house a lot more than I even thought I would when I first started building it, especially when I got frustrated with the first floor. And I'm glad I stuck to it. I'm glad I worked around that first floor issue because all in all, I think it came out splendid. And if you've ever watched any of my previous speed builds, you know that I always say I know it's a good build when I want to either play in the build or live in the build myself. And this one ticked off both of those check boxes. I do want to move this over to Glimmerbrook, like I mentioned, and probably will do so because this is definitely a house I want to use for my Sims. So anyway, you guys, if you enjoyed this video, I really hope you'll give me 2 thumbs up. Let me know you watched. And if you're new to my channel and you'd like to see more, then I hope you will hit that subscribe button and ring the bell because doing that lets YouTube know you would like notified when I post something new on the channel, and that way you don't miss out on anything coming down the line. And I have a lot more coming, including more speed builds, more Sims 4, anything, and oh, just so much more. You won't want to miss out on it. But until then, you guys, have a great one.